Hi, I'm Luke Searveld. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. I'm here with Alan Steinheimer, and we're going to compare some 4-foot lights that are a little broader than a standard sort of Diva light. Just to give you an idea of what's out there. Now, these lights, all the way from the 4x4 Kino, 4-foot by 4 tube Kino, all the way to the S120 Skypanel from Arri, the thing they have in common is their form factor. So price is all over the map, output is all over the map, capabilities from just being daylight only, you have to change the tubes to get something else, to bicolor, to thickness. If you go back in time and you had tungsten units, you were bouncing stuff and going through frames or whatever. Kinoflo was one of the first to sort of give us this form factor, right?
Yeah, I mean, up until then, a lot of lights were squarish, like the Mole soft lights. Zip light was a little more rectangular.
Yep.
But the Kinoflo really, obviously because the bulbs were 4 foot, and he went with a standard size. But Frieder was very smart. He realized, if I put 4 of these bulbs together, it gives me enough depth, but the width will have a lot of wrap around the face. And in fact, there's many other reasons that these lights have been so well used over the years. You can break the bulbs out.
Versatile.
Basically, you could line a whole bar with one quad ballast with 4 tubes. They were awesome in that respect.
Yeah, put them behind the bottles or whatever and just light stuff up, yeah, but all in a row.
And not too much gack, like everything was like understandable. So you had a quad splitter that would go to 4 single cables.
Yeah.
Whereas, what we're finding now with Lite Gear and a lot of other, manufacturers, millions of little parts that are hard to keep track of. So Kinos are really a classic design. I still use them, but not as much as I used to.
Right, because now we're getting into this whole thing of LEDs, and being able to just change color easily rather than having to change tubes. And so, but then, yeah, you get into more of a fixed unit that way, and it's harder to pull apart the pieces.
I think also, one of the major advances with LEDs was the dimming factor. Dimming sort of like feature creep in phones or that kind of thing. We got by without it for a long time. You could do it with tungsten to some degree on a stage set, although you would, your color would start to change at a certain point. So you didn't really have effectively wide range of dimming there. But once I got used to the fact that all these LEDs are dimming, right, and that the color didn't change or wouldn't change until you got very low, it almost became necessary.
Right, right. And then everybody's asking for it.
Yes.
So then you've got to have it. Okay, so let's go through the lights just sort of as an overview. We've got the 4-foot by 4 tube Kinoflo, and we're sort of running these all daylight at the moment. So that's sort of the base. And you'd often put a softener on that.
A lot of times it'd be gel just taped to the barn doors.
Yeah.
They'd also have the egg crate that never really worked that great, but it was something to keep spill from going everywhere.
And you'd often have to black wrap the ends, because there's all kinds of spill. And you didn't get this in different degrees either, right?
No.
Yeah. So that was, but man, we just used the heck out of these things.
Yeah.
And then here we've got, we could even turn it on, maybe. And that's a sort of
tungsten-y.
Tungsten-y.
There you go.
Okay, so that's full up on its blue. And this is a LiteMat
2L. It's not the LiteMat I use the most. I actually use the 4 the most, partly because the LiteMats, even the new Series 2, don't have the output of a lot of the other LEDs. And so I've gone to the 4, which is literally twice as big. It's basically 2x4 instead of 1x4. I do like these. They're extremely lightweight. You could fly it out on a set, just on a C-stand arm or 2 C-stand arms. It's probably the lightest light here among all of these.
And you can basically tape it to the wall.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I do like the modular thing of the diffusion. You can rip those out and put in a different one. Chimera white, full grid, half grid, quarter grid.
And these all break down, they go flat, the little doors.
And the cables are small, Lite Gear sort of came out of like lighting submarine sets and stuff in LA, where really you wanted to have like a tremendous amount of lights that could be hidden and small. They've adapted it. They're trying to get into this whole market of the larger instruments. It's been a little stutter step as they get in there.
And the connectors are a little...
Connectors are not everyone's favorite. These Phoenix 3 things, the little wires pop out. I have not seen them come up with a successful strain relief for that, and really probably a different connector altogether. Then that means that all the stuff that you've bought to date is going to be out of date. So a little tricky. I'm buying it just as the minimum that I feel like I can use. That's the other problem with the LED field is everything's changing so quickly. You don't want to buy too much. When you bought a Kino, I could have some extra bulbs or an extra head. Eventually I'm going to use it or have a bigger shoot. Now with this stuff, a year or year and a half, and
stuff changes.
Might have changed. Already.
So you're always worried how deep you should get into it. And you can't necessarily just sell it out again. So then this is a firmer back, right? I mean, it's got sort of a plastic cover, but it's like hard foam core, kind of, or whatever that fiberboard is, right? So then we go on to the Aladdin Bi-Flex, and so I have the 2-foot version of this. This is the, and by the way, we're at JCX Expendables. They've got a lot of these on display. So this is the 4-foot Bi-Flex of the Aladdin, and this is something that it has a little exoskeleton here so that you can put a frame on it, but it's also a light that you can roll up. You can, roll it up, put it in a China lantern. It's very flexible. And just turn the light on here.
For me as a gaffer, I'm probably not needing a roll-up light, but for people who travel, that's a pretty awesome feature. Also, it seems very bright, brighter than the LiteMat as far as I can tell. We'll do some testing later on to find out. They've given some definite thought. Their connectors are really nice. They're sort of a pop-on bayonet style. And they've got a little wire hanger to hang the ballast and dimmer control from a stand. Except my one complaint is they didn't look like they didn't quite make the wire thing big enough or long enough.
So it doesn't stretch quite enough, maybe.
It gets in the way of the knob. But
on my 2-foot version, you get this sort of cover with it, which is more like a Chimera white, not it's more like that.
Grid.
And you can also get a sort of soft box that sits away from the unit a little bit further. So you get the one that's sort of like an inch off, and then you get the one that's like 4 to 6 inches off. And the one thing I do like about this one is the connectors. The setup you get, you have the AC adapter that you can just Velcro onto the dimmer module. You can, even the 4-foot it's a 200 watt unit, but you can run it off of regular V-mounts. Now, probably not that long, because nobody else that I know is doing the 200 watt with a V-mount. So that's significant. Usually, like LiteMat stuff, and some of the other folks that are making different sizes of things, like Westcott, you can do the 1x1 with a regular V-mount, but as soon as you go to 2-foot, 1x2 foot, you have to go to more of a brick battery than a block. rather than a V-mount. So that, to me, is interesting for when you're traveling as well. And you've got DMX readily available on here. And then the connectors, I'm not going to pull them apart because else we lose the light, but they're pretty nice.
Well, the other thing too that's nice about that is that as Luke did in another episode of Meet the Gaffer, basically we're using Centena system of wireless, and you can just basically pop a receiver into this DMX. Yep. And have wireless control, and so that's a pretty nice setup. It's a hard, connection there where and it can just hang on the stand. So
yeah, so it's all ready to go. You don't have to buy an extra deal for it. And then moving on to the Select 30, it doesn't quite have the 4-foot length, but it's in a sense the replacement for the 4x4 in the LED form, but has a ton more capability. You can't break it apart as much, but you can pull the ballast off. So the unit and the ballast can be separated, so you have a longer head cable to it. But not only is it bicolor, so warm to cool, but you also have RGB.
And you can also do the plus minus green.
Yep.
I don't use RGB all that much, but the plus minus green I do use a lot in fluorescent situations.
Yeah.
And they're also very clever. They came out with these honeycombs with the Celeb, and now I see they're continuing on. These are pretty awesome for light control.
Oh, you should put it on. We should just pan it to the side. I think you're gonna flip it.
Is that it? Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So then if we flip it here, there is like no light leak. So you don't have to do the whole lac wrap thing like you would with a regular 4x4. So I mean, that's, anyway, it's a little thing, but it's a nice thing. It's just something to appreciate.
It folds in very tightly to the whole thing,
And they give you two of them, or at least in the pack I had, you get
different sizes.
A 60 degree and a 90 degree.
Okay.
So, and then also I've been able to use the softbox on this. I take this out, but I use a softbox on it, and that gets the softness out to here. So if you don't have C-stands and frames and all that kind of stuff around, putting a softbox on there easily is actually great.
Is that the bungee version they have like for the divas and stuff?
Exactly.
Where the bungee thing sort of holds on the corners?
No, it's actually a little nicer than that. It just has one strap on the top and one strap on the bottom, and you're kind of there. Yeah. I don't know, the manufacturer that makes these DOP things, soft grids and the snap grids and all that. I don't know. It seems like they've got it figured out, and then it folds down nicely. And they also have a soft grid for this, or a snap grid for this as well. But
not quite as much output as what I was hoping for.
Right.
Probably my biggest disappointment with the Select series. I'm hoping they come out with something a little more powerful, maybe a 4-foot version, or And they've also got Lumen radio built into this. That's actually another great feature.
That's awesome.
If you figure every Centena receiver is $500, then you've now got a $500 device that's built in here. So.
Yeah, and really when you add up all the things that you're getting with it, the price isn't crazy.
Yeah,
it's pretty straightforward.
I mean, I think this is roughly half of this.
Right.
So, but of course, the Skypanel is probably twice as bright.
Right. So let's move on to the Skypanel. Basically, we have this at 10% right now. So I turn this off and turn this up. Where am I? Here. Okay, so that's boom. And now compared to the S60, this is
they say, we'll meter it here, they say that it's running off the same ballast. It's supposedly 10% brighter, but the actual aperture of the front of it is twice as wide as an S60.
Yeah, so talk about wrap. And that seems like it's longer than 4 feet.
It is. It's actually 50 inches.
Okay, all right.
So it's probably the natural fit. I've only used it a few times so far. I think the natural fit is probably a 6-foot piece of diffusion. I just hang it, you know, from one stand, and seems to work well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you have the room, awesome. And then the intensifier.
They have a couple of accessories. So they have a plastic intensifier. It's sort of funny. You wouldn't think this would do that much, but it's got little tiny lenses in it. What it does, and they're actually on this side, huh?
Yeah.
What it does is basically give you another half a stop out of it. So that's what they've claimed, and that's what I've sort of seen, a third to half. And then we also have a snap grid made by a company called DOP. Doesn't overheat.
No, it's just a time limit.
Woo! They say snap, they really mean snap. All right, so it looks a little different than the S60. It's actually got sort of a rectangular kind of view. So, but that goes right on the face of that. And I found these pretty useful on a multicam situation where basically you want to try and light each person on the stage, either one or two people on the stage. Oh, I think I got to do that. I'm still learning. There's a definite learning curve here. So I would say it looks like it needs to be quarters here.
Yeah. Yeah, when we did that thing with like, what was it, 12 different sky panels, that it was great to have these to direct the light to not be spilling all over the place.
And you know, the one thing I love about the Arri, they do sell a lot of accessories, but what I'm finding is I really use pretty much the snap grids, the intensifiers, and the swivel back, and not too much else. So
I've started using the softbox, not the one with the frame, but the one that sort of clips on like this one.
Oh, you have the DOP version of it. Yeah, actually I do use the Chimera for it as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, because then you have an all-in-one, and if you don't have room to be putting up C-stands and stuff like that, or you're hanging it, it's handy. Yeah, excellent. Well, let's get to metering.
Okay.
So we're just going to go 6 feet out from each unit and measure the foot candles. So this is just a bare bulb 4x4 Kino, 6 feet. We've got 60, 65. Yeah, that's about 66 foot candles. Okay, moving on. So this is 6 foot out from the LiteMat, and we're at about 23, 24 foot candles. Yeah.
And the diffusion front?
And the diffusion front is like a full grid. So that's a full grid diffusion count. And what if we pull the just a much harsher light, but just for yucks, there we've got 40. So yeah, still 20 foot candles shy of a regular Kino. So here we have the Aladdin, and it's at basically 100 foot candles, and that's with heavier diffusion than was on the LiteMat. So it's like a shimmer white, and yeah, 100 foot candles. That's pretty good. So here we're 100% on the Select 30, and that's 64. So that's actually spot on with the 4x4 Kino without any diffusion. So this is already softer, but that's 64 foot candles.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have 250. So 250 foot candles. That's a significant difference. So there you go. Sometimes you do get what you pay for. Anyway, that gives you, an idea of what's out there in this form factor. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.